Welcome back to another episode of Ministry of Truth. I am your only host on this show, and we're going to do a little bit of stories today. Fuck. I forgot what I put up on the schedule for today. But first, I like to play a song, a little bit about history. And today is a good day for history, because what happened on this day many moons ago? Anybody? Oops. Listen to the whole song.
Over the horizon, what can it be? The pilgrims sailed the sea to find a place to call their own. In their ship Mayflower, they hoped to find a better home. They finally knocked on Plymouth Rock, and someone said, "We're there." It may not look like home, but at this point I don't care. Oh, they were missing Mother England.
Mother England,
They
not
swore
me.
their loyalty until the very end. Anything you say, King, it's okay, King. You know it's kind of scary on your own. Gonna build a new land the way we planned. Could you help us run it till it's grown? They planted corn, you know. They built their houses one by one.
Right?
And bit by bit they worked until the colonies were done.
Okay.
They looked around, yeah, up and down, and someone said, "Hooray! If the king could only see us now, he would be proud of us today." They knew that now they'd run their own land. But George III still vowed he'd rule them to the end. Anything I say, do it my way now. Anything I say, do it my way. Don't you get to feeling independent, 'cause I'm gonna force you to obey. He taxed their property,
Oh.
he didn't give them any
Taxing, huh?
choice. And back
Think
in
we should spill some tea.
England, he didn't give them any voice. That's called taxation without representation, and it's not fair. But when the colonies complained, the king said, "I don't care." He even has the nerve to tax our cup of tea. To put it kindly, King, we really don't agree. Gonna show you how we feel. We're gonna dump this tea and turn this harbor into the biggest cup of tea in history. They wanted no more Mother
You forgot to mention they
England.
dressed up like Indians.
They knew the time had come for them to take command. It's very clear you're being unfair, King. No matter what you say, we won't obey. Gonna hold a revolution now, King, and we're gonna run it all away with no more king.
We're going to elect a president.
No more king.
He's gonna do what the people want.
No more king.
We're going to run things our way.
No more king.
Nobody's gonna tell us what to do.
Rocking and a rolling, swishing and a splashing over the horizon. What can it be? Looks like it's going to be a free country.
It's our music for the morning. Hope y'all enjoyed that, because today is the Boston Tea Party. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. All right, before we get into, the YouTube segment, let's go to the world of X. And I've got a few interesting things I want to show you. The first one is from New York City, and it's a law they hope to introduce. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but it's basically saying that New York should basically allow for gender affirming products. So if you're a woman that's a man and you need tampons because your butthole's bleeding, they have to provide you with tampons. If you provide estrogen, if you require estrogen, they have to provide estrogen. So pretty much they have more rights. How do I say this? Dude, I'm not high and I can't remember shit right now. They're going to get the fucking pieces of stuff they need to make them feel like a woman or to feel like a man, and you're paying for it. You're paying for it. So what is this telling people when you go to jail? You can dress like a woman and get put on the women's side, and we'll give you the clothing and shit for like tucking and stuff, right? That's what we all signed up for, right? New York, get that shitty right, or get that shit straight. Fucking retards, man. Now we're from New York. We're heading to New Jersey. Shit. If you live in the state of New Jersey and you go to a spa in Edison, right? You would expect to be male and female rooms alone. I get it. That makes common sense. Dressing rooms. What happens if you're in the sauna? I think it's a sauna. I don't remember. Locker room. And this happens.
Soak in the hot tub.
Shit. Anyone want to go to a hot tub and see a tallywhacker?
So I'm leaving the spa that I've been coming to for like 8 years. And I know I look upset, and it's because I am. This spa. It's called Island Spa and Sauna. It's in Edison, New Jersey. I've been coming here for 8 years. This is like my place of refuge. It's where I come to relax after like a crazy week or after a very stressful incident, or where I come to just clear my mind.
Yeti?
You know, like, and just, yeah. In this spa, there's like a Korean bathhouse. In this bathhouse, there's like hot tubs, a cold tub, showers, a place where you would get body scrubs, and saunas and stuff. My typical routine is to come in, soak in the hot tub, go get a massage, come back, soak in the hot tub, go have lunch. Then maybe like I might do a body scrub, I might not. After lunch, I might soak in the hot tub, get in the sauna, and then leave. That's
short bus. Mental health. Unchecked mental health.
Routine. And in this Korean bathhouse, everyone is completely naked. So there's a side for men that you can enter through the men's locker room, and they have their own side with their own hot tubs and stuff. And then there's a women's side, which you can enter through our locker room, and it's only women in there. So today I come in, I soak, I go get my massage, I get ready to go back into the like bathhouse for women, and I walk in and I see a penis and chest hair and a low haircut. So I freak out and I run out. And I go to the people that work there. I'm like, oh my goodness, I think somebody came into the wrong side or something. There's a man in there. Now there's also all women working in there. So they all look at me in discomfort, and you can tell they're embarrassed, and they're just like, it's a trans woman. So now I'm in shock.
Oh.
Sorry. I'm in shock because this person saw me completely naked, without my consent. And I don't even know if I should call it a trans woman, because it looked like a straight up man. I'm talking chest hair, a low cut, a very big penis, and was older in age. So he clearly had to be in his 40s.
What's up, Sam?
And you can tell the spa workers are torn, because you could tell they're uncomfortable. And he's walking around, penis swinging. And they're like, well, if someone identifies as a trans person, we legally can't make them leave. So I'm crying at this point. Because at that point, I've been coming here for 8 years, and this is one of my safe spaces, where I go to unwind and everything.
So you're a liberal.
And it's just that quick, my safe space just became unsafe. And I almost felt like, I don't know, I'm trying to wrap my head around my feelings. I kind of feel like something very private to me was taken from me without my consent. And when I say something very private, meaning my body, I shouldn't have to be in spaces where men have full access to me naked without my consent, and vice versa. So I'm crying, and the manager,
you vote for Kamala Harris?
Apologetic. They feel bad because they're legally, New Jersey law, there's nothing we can do. So they're like, we'll comp your admission fee and we'll comp your food, but we'll just charge you for your massage. So I immediately eat, I immediately get dressed, and I leave, and I'm at the front desk and I'm embarrassed that I'm crying, because I'm like, this shouldn't feel this like intrusive, but like I felt like, I don't know, I felt embarrassed because we're kind of like conditioned to feel like, oh, everything's transphobic, like me even feeling this way is transphobic. But I was very, very uncomfortable, like, and I just feel like I have the right to feel that way. So I don't know if I have like $500 worth of gift cards here. I come here, like I said, I've been coming here consistently for 8 years. I come here, I do my yoga when they have yoga sessions, like, so it's just, I don't know. Help me to wrap my head around this, guys. Like, am I bugging right now?
Yo. You know, it doesn't affect you until it affects you, right? But why be reactive when you can be proactive and stop it? But you know, a lot of this country, hopefully it gets fucking set right, has gone to where, well, it's the new norm and it's, you know, we have to accept it. That's 100% false. Just because it's what you want everyone to accept, you know it's wrong morally. When you walk in with a fucking tree trunk into a woman's bathhouse, right? Where they are. Yes. Fuck this dude. And what's even worse, he wasn't pardoned in December. He was pardoned in November. And the fucked up thing that it says under the clemency, because there's like a whole fucking list, it says nonviolent crimes. Nonviolent crime. Six terabytes, 446,000 images. All right.
To update it.
Not going to lie. This guy's going to talk about these cards that were, you know, there both during the initial Gulf War and then again at the beginning of the... Where am I at? At the beginning of the global war on terrorism in Iraq. And what they were playing cards, right? The playing cards were for us to get to know what all these big enemies are, big military leaders look like, so that, hey, oh shit, this is the guy, we need to go get him. Or we need to, you know, take him out. So this guy's going to talk about that. And then he's going to talk about his concept, which I understand the fucking terrorists, not CEOs.
Did you know in 2003, the U.S. military, a defense agency, created a most wanted Iraqi playing card set? They made it so that they could help troops identify the most wanted members of people in Saddam Hussein's like cabinet, military, government, everything like that. Help them find and do what they needed to do. They looked like this. They had like pictures of them and like their name and like what party, what they do, things like that. But a follower, shout out JDL, reached out and said, we should do this for CEOs.
Oh.
Imagine. We got Sam Altman and Zuck and Bezos, a little Peter Thiel action, maybe the CEO of Northrop Grumman, the entire Walton family. So yes, I'm actively making this playing card set, 52 CEOs. I have a list.
So, well, not so much the kids, but Sam built that fucking company from the ground. So, yeah, to one of the biggest corporations in the world.
But if anyone has someone exceptional that they want to toss the name in the ring, let me know. I am making that this weekend. I might push a little bit, but it's going to be up for pre-order in like the next couple days. So look out and help me.
So he wants to develop the cards for these CEOs. You know, when you go think about the term freedom of speech, freedom of speech doesn't apply to these CEOs because these CEOs are civilian elements. They are not tied to the U.S. government, and they are not elected by the people. So therefore, First Amendment really doesn't apply to them. So you should be held liable for what you say to these.
Well, the cops showed up at my door this morning. I guess making CEO most wanted playing cards gets you noticed. The New York Post front page today, guys. Front page for this deck. But don't worry, I'm all good on the police side of things for now. But the deck is still live for pre-order, so go grab some for you and your friends. Also, you'll notice that my stock is completely depleted. I'm going to update it so you guys can get some stuff, and I will fulfill those orders after the holidays. Today is the last day, probably where any orders that come in can be sent out before Christmas.
I smell a scam and a grift.
But thanks so much for all the support. And yeah, police. Well, the cops show.
Yeah, police. It's now that people are going to be held accountable for the first time in, I don't know how long, how many years, decades, however you want to fucking call it. They sure are crying about it. I mean, I guess in another sense, people like Free Snowden. Yeah, that's me. But this guy right here. Whenever you want to give out secrets that your government is corrupt, they want to bury you. But if you go and kill CEOs and then you want to make cards of all the other major CEOs in the United States, you're a hero. You're great. You're the greatest thing since sliced bread. This reminds me. What's that fucking movie? Oh, fuck it. It'll come back to me. And it's being allowed because you know what? All you gotta do is say it's the new norm. It's the new norm, guys. But I guess if we look at it this way, right? This guy can say it in the United States that we just saw. Granted, like I said, it's not toward his government, so technically it's not freedom of speech. It's also not freedom from consequence. However, this guy really did use his freedom of speech. However, his freedom of speech does not matter because he's not in America.
An activist in Iceland, Elder Christensen, chairman of Samtökin 22, a gender-critical organisation that supports single-sex spaces and opposes the medical transitioning of children, is being investigated by police over 7 posts he shared on Facebook and X, where he expressed criticism of male breastfeeding and the teaching of gender diversity to children.
That's one of the best descriptions I've ever fucking saw. I like it. I like you, Sam.
He's questioning by the police, and although not yet charged, his solicitors expect he will be charged and convicted. So I'm joined now by gay rights activist Elder Christensen. Elder, perhaps you could start by, this sounds like an extraordinary story. Perhaps you can start by explaining what it is you tweeted or put on X or whatever we're calling it these days.
This tweet in question with the breastfeeding, I believe it was I tweeted it in August of last year. It was a Pink News article which was telling us, the reader, how wonderful it is for men or trans women to be able to breastfeed and why it's good for mom and baby. And I put forward a staunch criticism of that, and I wrote, that rag, meaning Pink News, advocating for such practices, because if you think about male breastfeeding, then obviously it's the man cannot carry a child nor give birth to it. So what is the motivator behind a man actually taking drugs, domperidone, to induce lactation to breastfeed a child? Whose needs
exactly
whose needs are being satisfied here? Is it the needs of the infant, or is it the needs of that?
This kind of guy reminds, maybe it's like Icelandic version of Gays Against Groomers.
Person who is taking the drugs and trying to breastfeed an infant.
And of course your criticism was very robust, and you said that it was a form of child abuse, and
yes,
that there was a fetishistic aspect.
Yes, I used the P word, pedophilia, in this context, because, and I stand by it, because if you do use, or if you are not a gynophile, and which is a sexual fetish, and if you are using infants or children for that matter to satisfy your sexual fetishes, it's pedophilia.
So, I mean, critics will say, well, we don't know the secret motivations of anyone, and that's an assumption that you're making.
Well,
but
yes.
then the question is, you know, that doesn't mean it ought to be criminal to make that supposition.
No, of course it shouldn't. But here we are. We are in this situation now where I'm being charged for it. But I am actually quite happy to be charged for that specific tweet because it just shows what sort of how morally bankrupt this queer movement has become.
And this is a real problem, isn't it? Because the people won't believe you when you say that men who identify as women are taking drugs to induce lactation.
Yeah.
The quality of that milk, if we call it milk, is nowhere near what is required.
I wouldn't even go so far to call it milk. It's just
pus.
It's something which is clearly putting children at risk. I mean, that's absolutely clear that there's an element of that to that. So this is about satisfying this movement, this ideological movement, rather than what is good for child well-being.
That is my honest opinion. It is to satisfy the movement. If
you're a dude that wants a fucking child to fucking drink milk from your fucking chest, dude, what the fuck is wrong with you? That is a fetish. If you want to fucking feed a baby, do it the bottle way. You can do that as a man or a woman. It works. And by the way, if you're doing the fucking breastfeeding, is that genetically modified? Genetically modified? To make us weaker? Not us, but you know, the new generation who thinks they can fucking breastfeed. Makes the people weaker. Today's kids weaker.
To satisfy some ideological need,
yes,
you know, and this has nothing to do with the needs of the children or the infant.
So let's move the debate away from the breastfeeding aspect, because of course there will be arguments on all sides there. I mean, I'm with you. I don't think there's any way that you should be prioritising someone's identity over the welfare of a baby. That just, for me, is a no-brainer.
Yeah.
But irrespective of that, there will be people that disagree with my position on that.
Yeah.
But then we have the issue of the fact that the police have got involved at all. Your lawyer says that he thinks it's likely you're going to be convicted.
Yes, the thing is, the Icelandic state apparatus is completely captured from top down. I mean, currently we have a situation where all schools are captured. Even the Church of Iceland is captured. The Bishop of Iceland has a trans-identified child. So does her sister. And this is a country of 377,000 people. And
what about the government?
Government as well. Local government especially is captured on the school level as well.
Well, what charge are the police saying that they're levelling against?
So it's the breach of our criminal code number Article 233, which is, you know, a derogatory language, you know, against a protected group.
So it's quite similar to the sort of hate speech laws that we've got over here.
Yeah.
Okay, but, you know, so they're going to prosecute you.
Well, I haven't been officially charged yet, but like my solicitor says, I can expect being charged relatively soon. And there are two other people who have been charged for, I would say probably around the same sort of statements that I have been making. Two teachers, one high school teacher, he criticized the indoctrination in the schools. And said that this was obviously to recruit children to an ideology and obviously ideological grooming. In Iceland, they take the word grooming very, very, let's say, they get very upset when you use the word grooming.
Really?
But the thing is, what they don't realize is grooming isn't only sexual, and there is ideological grooming as well. And we have loads of ideological grooming happening in the school system.
But ultimately, it comes down to free speech. You know, when I speak to Americans about the situation in the UK, they can't believe that people in the UK are arrested for tweets, let alone that the police would even get involved whatsoever, even if they're really offensive and horrible. You know, because they have their First Amendment.
Exactly.
We don't have that. So what's the state of free speech in Iceland generally?
Well, I thought it was relatively good up until now, and I'm quite shocked that I have been, you know, put under criminal investigation because nothing in my tweets has any form of incitement I do not attack anyone personally, and I don't even think that I'm attacking a specific group. I am actually criticizing an ideology,
which is your right.
A set of ideas, and I'm just communicating my honest opinion. And I thought in a free democratic society that is something that you should be able to do. And I would like to add, throughout my activism in Iceland, I have on numerous occasions asked the organization, the LGBTQI++ organization, to actually meet me in a debate, and if they are so sure about their arguments, then obviously it would be easy for them to bury me, and just expose me for the idiot that they think that I am.
Yes,
right?
But they don't tend to debate.
And I've had numerous podcast hosts and radio hosts in Iceland been willing to step in as moderators. My only demand has been that it's live and is unedited.
Yeah.
And they won't show up. They've agreed to show up twice during the last 5 years, but on the last minute they pull out.
But this is the strategy of ideologues: no debate.
Yes.
Because if their ideas are held up to scrutiny, they tend to collapse.
That's the thing.
So what will happen, just finally, because I think this is a really shocking story, and there have been many on this show, as you know, we've had a lot of this kind of thing, but it's interesting to hear it from another country as well, that it's not just a UK issue. If you are convicted, what's the potential penalty?
Well, it's either a monetary fine or up to 2 years in prison. And I've actually said to my solicitor that if they are going to put a monetary fine on me, I'm not going to pay it. They will have to chuck me in.
So
and I would be happy to go to prison.
Wow. So you could indeed end up serving prison time for an opinion, a legitimate opinion. Yeah, unbelievable. Okay, well, do keep us posted on this. It's a really important story. Elder, thank you very much for joining me.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. An activist in Iceland, Elder...
All right. So, back to the freedom of speech thing. That dude's going to get convicted pretty much for saying the truth. Because, if you're a trans man, you're a protected class now. Or trans woman, I'm sorry. So don't mess with them in Iceland because you can go to fucking jail. Same thing with in the UK. You can't call them fags because you can go to trouble. In Canada as well. But we know Canada is fucking stupid. All right. So this next one, we're going to talk a little bit about the tragedy yesterday in Wisconsin. However, when I think false flags, I'm not saying it didn't happen. I'm not saying people didn't die. I'm not saying that the government's lying about the girl being a trans because she's a girl, according to the boyfriend, and many, many other things that they don't want to show you. But they want to stick with that narrative right now. Because it's an attack on a Christian school. Just like the one that was happening in California a couple days ago or a couple weeks ago that I talked about. It's an attack on Christians. And I don't think this girl was trans. She was 15. But other than that, she did look up to like socialists. So she could have been brainwashed. You don't know. She's 15, one of the most impressionable ages, right? Between now and, well, until you turn 25. Then you still have those people that are super fucking naive. But we're going to talk about this police chief that did the interview yesterday. I want you to listen to this interview and tell me what you think.
We have a lot of things that are legal, but is it the right thing to do? We have to rise above that. And sometimes it requires an evolution of our thinking. What was written in 1789 may not be appropriate for 2022 unless we're okay with kids being killed.
You're referencing the Second Amendment?
Yes, I am. We have a lot of things that are legal.
Oh, it's great. This guy wants to, I guess challenge the Second Amendment again, which happens after every school shooting. But wait, makes this one a little weird to me, and I'm going to show you, is that interview I just showed you is not from this week. It's from 2 years ago. 2 years ago. Now here's today.
Shot wound. The official.
Or yesterday, I'm sorry.
They arrived to find multiple people suffering from gunshot wounds. 3 people, including the shooter, are dead. The shooter has now been identified
Hey, Sam, I'm going to answer your message later because there's so many things I can tell you about that uniform.
as 15-year-old Natalie Rupnow, who went by the name Samantha. She was a student at the school, and evidence suggests she died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. The official cause of death will be released by the Dane County Medical Examiner pending the conclusion of their examination. She was pronounced deceased while in transport to a local hospital. A teacher and a teenage student were pronounced dead at the scene at that school. 6 other students and a teacher were injured and taken to area hospitals. 2 students remain in critical condition and have life-threatening injuries. A teacher and 3 students were treated for non-life-threatening injuries. 2 of these
serious
have been
condition.
released and discharged from the hospital. The other 2 survivors are considered to be in stable condition. At this time, we believe there was only one shooter involved. We are still working to determine a motive. Detectives have talked to her family members this evening, as well as conduct a search of the shooter's home here in Madison.
I'm not saying that's just a little bit weird. It kind of is. 2 years ago, calling for the Second Amendment to be modified, changed, or abolished. And then magically 2 years later, his city has a shooting in school. Maybe by happenstance, but I'm not a big fan of things happening by... fuck, I need to smoke some weed. Hold on. So, that was the Madison, Wisconsin police chief. And then this is where it gets funny. So a statement came out from Joe Biden talking about gun violence, how we can prevent gun violence, better background checks, and things like that, right? Okay, Joe. Okay, I get you. I liked it. I like it. But wait. Didn't you pardon your son for lying on federal gun forms? Didn't you? What if one of those guns he purchased because he lied ended up in the hands of, I don't know, one of his kids while they're high on crack or whatever it is he fucking does? But it's going to be covered up though because it's a pardon, right? You're talking about taking away guns when your own son doesn't even get them legally. Makes sense. And this is what I was talking about earlier. Because I didn't think about this till this morning, obviously. So this is the one I talked about in California. Shooter was neutralized. 2 students were shot. Condition unknown. And this was actually 2 weeks ago. Let's fast forward 2 weeks from now. Active school shooting in an Abundant Life Christian school in Madison, Wisconsin. 2 Christian schools on each opposite ends of the country within 2 weeks. I don't know, man. Maybe I'm looking too into that. Maybe I'm gonna Alex Jones this shit, but I still believe that Sandy Hook was false flag and nothing but massive crisis actors at work. Why else would you tear down that building so fucking quick during an investigation? All right. So this one, I'm still trying to figure out if it's offensive. I don't think
the offensive lesson.
But this lesson in Loudoun County, where the fuck is Loudoun County? It's been in the news a lot. Whatever. They had a history class and a teacher was teaching them about the cotton and cotton gin. Somehow it's offensive.
Happened last week at Riverside High School in Lansdowne. Amy Cho has the story you'll see only on News 4.
Controversy at Riverside High School after some students were forced to touch cotton during a history lesson on slavery, according to Pastor Michelle Thomas.
Forced?
She's president of the Loudoun County NAACP and says she received a complaint from a black student in the class.
Black students were extremely embarrassed and humiliated. In some sections of the class, we had students that were actually laughing and making jokes.
Thomas says she hopes teachers understand the hurtful connotations
What was
of
the
cotton
lesson?
to students of color.
The fact that teachers have cotton on hand to be used as demonstration, that is problematic, especially when they're teaching advanced classes.
News 4 obtained a letter sent by the school.
Well, listen. What if they got the cotton that, freshly picked, right? And they showed you, they put it on the table, right? Next to, the cotton we have today. And be like, listen, the invention of the cotton gin made it easier and more effective to pick cotton and make sure you don't have little prickly things in it like they do if you have to hand pick it where they fuck your hands up. Maybe. So I guess they can't talk about the cotton gin during Black History Month.
School's principal to parents, in which he acknowledged the lesson had brought up some uncomfortable feelings in students. The principal also wrote that teachers, administrators, and counselors would be working together to support students who were involved.
Oh
The letter also said, "We take matters that involve our students' safety, both physically and emotionally, seriously, and LCPS is dedicated to creating a safe and inclusive learning environment for all students."
And Loudoun County Schools just sent News 4 a statement moments ago saying the lesson was part of a discussion around the invention of the cotton gin and enslavement. The school system said it must and will do better to achieve a safe and inclusive learning environment for students. LCPS also said it'll work on better guidance for teachers when lessons could potentially be
It's so fucking stupid, man. Stupid. Can't teach them about that shit. Of course people are going to be like, the white man invented everything. They the problem. I don't fucking understand this shit, man. Yeah, they better wear nylon. Well, we can't put them in fucking loincloths and they'd be really pissed off. So, I know this is going to be like way early in the rest of the video, but I want to show you this picture, man. Shaolin Jin. Not a superhero. He was a student at SMU, a medical student at SMU, who was arrested with 6 terabytes and 46,000 images of child pornography. He was sentenced to 8 years. He's been in jail for 2 years. And as of, this was actually not in November, this was actually a little earlier, this young man was pretty much pardoned for everything. And on top of that, we sent him back to China. Huh. So he committed egregious crimes that, people would probably get killed for in jail. They can send him back to China. 46,000 images. How many children was that? One of them included a young boy. Let's see if I can zoom in on this. Yeah. Shanlin Jin, 22, is being charged with 3 counts of possession of child pornography. Investigators allegedly found a video of a female infant being sexually assaulted by an adult male. Authorities also conducted a forensic investigation on a computer in Jin's bedroom where over 47,000 images and videos were found. Jin is being charged with 2 counts of possession with intent to promote child pornography, a second-degree felony with a $35,000 bond, and possession of child pornography, a third-degree felony with a $10,000 bond. Like I said, he was sentenced to 8 years, and now he's free. I mean, that makes sense with Texas and child pornography. Sometimes they don't even charge them. But if they do get charged and convicted, don't worry, Daddy Joe is going to help you get free. All right. Now that we're done with X, we're going on back to the tea. Spilling the tea. take a little bit of a break. It's about a 5-minute video. And, down, bud.
December 16th, 1773, Boston Harbor. By the end of the night, 342 chests of tea would be dumped into the harbor. Known as the Boston Tea Party, this event was a protest against taxation and British mercantilism. In some ways, the event had been brewing for 10 years. Following the end of the French and Indian War, Britain wanted to tax the colonies and regain some of the money that had been spent for their protection. This violated two principles. First, the idea that the colonies were governed directly by the king. Second, the theory of mercantilism, which said that a mother country would protect the colonies since they provided a vast amount of income. As Parliament tried to take control and levy taxes, American colonists protested. A series of acts and taxes led to boycotts, protests, and creative resistance. By 1773, Parliament had repealed most of the unpopular tax acts. However, the Tea Act remained. Created by Parliament to financially rescue the floundering East India Tea Company, the Tea Act gave a monopoly and several other financial breaks to the company, allowing them to exclusively sell tea in the American colonies.
Had a brush with the East India Trading Company, did we? Hire it?
When 3 ships of the East India Tea Company stood off Boston Harbor, protesting colonists refused to allow the ships to unload the cargo. But the Royalist governor of Massachusetts refused to allow the ships to leave. On September 16th, the Sons of Liberty reacted. Putting on disguises inspired by the Native American Mohawk tribe warriors, the colonists headed for the harbor. Their costumes had symbolic meaning, since both British and colonials recognized Native Americans as a group that did not want to be ruled by European powers. The disguised Sons of Liberty boarded the 3 ships, and for the next 3 hours diligently unloaded the tea into Boston Harbor. It's estimated that 92,000 pounds of tea were emptied into Boston Harbor that night, and the estimated value of that lost cargo was around $1,700,000 in modern U.S. currency. Samuel Adams, a leader of the Sons of Liberty, insisted
Patriot.
that the Boston Tea Party was not the actions of a mob, but rather a protest of colonists who were asserting the idea no taxation without representation. The British governor, Parliament, and the King viewed the Boston Tea Party as rebellion, and in response instituted the Intolerable Acts, which included closing the Boston Harbor to trade. Though the start of the American Revolution and the shot heard round the world was still more than a year and a half away, the Boston Tea Party was a major moment in the road to rebellion and eventual independence for the American colonies. John Adams, a relative of Samuel Adams, noted in his diary a few days after the Boston Tea Party, "This is the most magnificent movement of all. There is a dignity, a majesty, a sublimity in this last effort of the Patriots that I greatly admire. The people should never rise without doing something to be remembered, something notable and striking. This destruction of the tea is so bold, so daring, so firm, intrepid, and inflexible, and it must have so important consequences and so lasting that I can't but consider it as an epocha in history."
I do enjoy the savory taste of sweet tea on a daily basis. And it's not taxed like it used to be, I don't think. Bro. Anyway. So, really didn't want to touch in too much on the drone sightings. However, I did wake up to a text about drone sightings. And it pretty much, in my opinion, solidified what I was saying yesterday. And then you're going to see, I believe this is a story I picked up.
Okay, so when it comes to the topic of
When I was worried about that technology, and I took the fucking site down, not the site. So looking up the website, I don't know if this is the same company that was developing them, not the Israeli one, but they're mobile drone blockers, right? If these mobile drone blockers work, obviously you know that company that got $7 million to test and build these blockers. It's part of the military industrial complex. But wait till you hear on these drones. New
shooting down
updates.
drones and just what that entails, my next guest is an expert. Joel Anderson is the founder and CEO of ZeroMark, a defense tech startup company that builds special firearms for the military and law enforcement to use and take out drones. Great to have you here, Joel. You know, Senator Schumer of the great state of New York, Senate Majority Leader right now, at least for the next few weeks, is asking for, quote, special detection systems to be deployed in New York and New Jersey, asking the Department of Homeland Security for something called the Robin radar systems. Do you know what that is by any chance?
There's a variety of detection systems. Radar is one of the methods that is employed, as well as acoustic sensors. But yes, there's a variety of industry companies out there that are pretty good at detection, and they should be widely deployed in this area.
It's called 360-degree technology. What is that? How does it work?
Just means that a single antenna can scan in all directions around it to actually find drones in the sky and identify them, potentially link them to remote operators as well.
Within about a 3-mile radius?
That depends on the technology.
Connect them to remote operators, so towers.
Technology, but that's very possible. You can go even further with acoustic detection systems and other methods.
All right. There are reportedly, according to the DHS Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas, he said there are 1 million drones registered in the U.S. right now. They're widely accessible and they're cheap. And you say they're also very easy to weaponize. How?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, obviously, there's controls around things like explosives, but if you look at Ukraine as a good example, it is not difficult to actually weaponize and put payload on even small drones. And I think that's the insane.
No, I don't. I'm all about conspiracies, and I don't. I think because the radiation that they're looking for in New Jersey is similar to the one in that I talked about in San Diego, where that spiked to like 4,000. Can't remember what the units was. I got to check my buddy's messages. And then when we talked about that, I said there's going to be a wildfire in that area in the next couple days. Next morning I woke up, there's a wildfire in that same area. Now, if it's missing nuclear weapon, I feel like there would be a lot more of an urgency to find it. Not only would drones be out at night, drones would be out at day. Because drones at night can't really get a good visual, so they have to go off heat signatures. They have to go off, like they said, sonar. But if they're looking for something, then they wouldn't be worried about sonar and shit. They would be using what the fuck is a Geiger to try and trace those radiation. At the same time, why is there nobody on ground? You know, like I'm fucking around riding my 4-wheelers all over the place. You know what I mean?
Same thing when it comes to the
we still
authorities
have
that
our
our law
nukes.
enforcement agencies have, have today, which is that they're not allowed to shoot them down except in very limited circumstances. I think you mentioned the radar systems. There are electromagnetic solutions to try to, disrupt drones and make them return to base or land. But that doesn't work against a drone that is piloted by or deployed by a motivated adversary that has an intent. Those are very easily mitigated defenses.
Most commercial and law enforcement drones are quite.
What if, we are, and this is, like I said, this might be something set up for a much bigger picture. What if we did find out that alien technology and we're using it? We're testing it. they're saying they're drones. They're saying they're aliens. What if it's a combination of both? Kind of like Skynet. The robots are going to turn against us, guys. The robots are going to turn against us. Fucking AI. God damn you, Elon.
Small, but people are reporting seeing drones as big as SUVs.
But I don't know if another dude brought up it's like a surveillance thing because it hears at night instead of seeing, so it can hear what people are doing with the technology. More spying. And you know they're spying in specific places. Why?
Is that possible? Because we do know that China is testing drones that are quite large.
Yeah, I mean, I think that hobbyist drones are unlikely to be particularly large, and there's diminishing returns when you think about building and just scaling up the size of a drone with a multi-rotor type designs. But it's very possible they could be built and home built. It's not exceptionally expensive to do so. It has reached the point where a great enthusiast could certainly build them themselves.
And shooting one down, that would become like a missile, according to one drone manufacturer. Incredibly dangerous. Do you agree?
Absolutely. Something with mass falling out of the sky is going to cause collateral. And that's why when it comes to the interdiction of drones, the right authorities need to have tools that can help prevent that collateral by predicting the fall path and what's underneath it. They need to be aware of that as well. And systems can help with systems like Zeromarks.
Yeah, people could get hurt. One drone manufacturer said you shoot it down, that thing becomes a missile. Joel Anderson, thanks so much. Really great to get your expertise.
Thanks so much for watching. Go to join and...
I'm telling you, this is...
Finally tonight, we take a closer look.
Fucked up. And now I feel like I've been lied to my entire fucking life as an American citizen. And when you guys hear this next story, you're going to be like, son of a bitch. Now I can't trust history books. And you'll see why. Something as simple as the bald eagle.
Look at one of America's most revered symbols. Despite centuries on the national seal and widespread assumption, the bald eagle has never officially been designated as the U.S. national bird. Our John Yang has this report on the effort to change that and why it matters.
Along the Mississippi River, about 80 miles south of Minneapolis, a bald eagle glides high above the water, searching for prey. This area is home to more than 50 nesting pairs of bald eagles, one of the highest concentrations in the country. It's why tiny Wabasha, Minnesota is called the Eagle Capital of America.
Who cannot love that big, massive beak, the bright plumage, the yellow feet, the black talons? It's just awe-inspiring.
Scott Mayhoos is the education director at the recently renovated National Eagle Center in the heart of Wabasha. 15,000 square feet entirely dedicated to this stately creature.
Everybody has a story. When we're here at
Right,
Eagle
Sam?
Center, they want to come and share that story.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is my...
People can learn all about the eagle, from its size, diet, and habitat to its central place in American history and culture. A trove of
My
the
mind
center's
was
eagle
fucking
memorabilia was donated by retired real estate investor Preston Cook.
I was asking an ornithologist friend of mine from Canada what he sees when he sees an eagle. And he says, I see an eagle. But when an American sees an eagle, we see something a little bit different. We see the freedom, the liberty, the independence, the power. We see all of those things in this bird that represents America so often.
I mean, he's not
They
lying.
authenticated this.
Cook is perhaps the world's foremost collector of eagle-related items.
Obsession is probably a good word for what I've done. And then I've got the buttons.
It began with the brass buttons that adorned his military uniform.
Hey, those
as a
aren't
young
mine.
man. Now his collection has more than 40,000 items, filling floor-to-ceiling shelves next door to the center.
I never tire of looking for eagles or watching eagles. I pull my car over when I'm driving around this area when I see an eagle. I'm in awe continually.
Around 2010, as Cook was doing research for his book, American Eagle, he tried to nail down exactly when it became the U.S. national bird and found out that it wasn't. Research at the National Archives confirmed his finding. The Second Continental Congress put the bald eagle on the national seal in 1782, but there had never been a law or an
And we just
executive action
assumed.
designating it as the national bird. So Cook drafted legislation to do just that. He took it to Minnesota Senator Amy Klobuchar and Representative Brad Finstad, whose district includes Wabasha.
It does matter. It gives it a little higher status. This assumption has been with us for 240 some odd years.
The Senate passed the bill without opposition. If it's approved by the lame duck House and President Biden signs it, the eagle would join the rose, America's national flower, the oak, the national tree, and the bison, the national mammal.
The eagle has two wings. It has a left wing and it has a right wing, and it has a body middle. And so it really represents all Americans.
The Eagle Center's Scott Mayhew says it's important to keep educating America about its soon-to-be official bird.
It's just an opportunity for people to be aware of this bird that still needs its recognition. I think that's the cool part, is that people are able to come here and to recognize that this little small town in Minnesota has that opportunity to do something major, really to set the world straight. That the bald eagle, yes, is our nation's symbol, but it was not designated as our nation's bird.
Until now.
Bro, man. See? Whoa. I feel so dumb because that's probably something I should have known. But if historians didn't, then fuck yeah. And it should be heading to President Biden's desk in the next couple days. So yeah, I did not know that. And if y'all did know that, good on you. If you didn't, well, now you know. Knowing's half the battle. What's up, dude? And you know, since history lies to us, what would stop the mainstream media from lying to us? And what happens when they get caught? This is from another creator, so fuck you, because, all right.
CNN recently ran a segment of them allegedly rescuing a prisoner left in solitary confinement for over 90 days.
The guard makes us turn the camera off while he shoots the lock off the cell door. It's still not clear if there is something under the blanket.
Oh, it moved. Is there someone there? Is someone there? Where's my phone?
Yep.
He tells the fighter he's from the city of Humps and has been in the cell for 3 months.
Okay, you're okay. You're okay. You're okay.
He clutches my arm tightly with both hands.
Does anyone have any water?
You know, when articles or stories, articles, like whatever you want to call them, show up on my timeline, not specifically this one, because when it originally showed up on CNN, you know, it shows up and I'm like, man, that looks stupid. I'm not going to watch it. It's all propaganda anyway. Turns out I knew what I was talking about.
After 3 months in a windowless cell, he can finally see the sky.
Now, this would be seen as a triumphant moment in journalism if it wasn't for the fact that they just freed a notorious torturer.
There's a good chance I may have committed some light treason.
As the New York Post reports, the seemingly innocent prisoner has a long history of alleged war crimes. Part of the forces that were known to torture those who refused to pay him off, also ending civilians in their civil war in 2014. As they also make note of how he didn't quite look like someone held in solitary confinement for 3 months, which is just the seasoning on top of the treason they felt the need to self-snitch on. As even before the whole "you're rescuing a torturer" reporting came out, absolutely nobody was buying the story of "we turned the camera off and shot the lock off a cell door, then zoomed in on a random blanket only to suddenly discover a civilian was cowering underneath with perfectly clean clothes and somewhat recently groomed," stating he was in a windowless room for 3 months, but goes outside and immediately looks into the sun. This all sounds ridiculous until you realize it's CNN, which is pretty on brand for them. As I covered the last time that specific CNN reporter got caught up in nonsense, where she was reporting from a war zone, ducked down on the ground from a massive barrage of rockets.
Hi, John. So forgive me, I have a slightly unelegant position, but we have just had a...
I'm going to tell you how fucked up I am. Ever since, the first sounds of rockets, mortars, whatever IEDs going off, at first you're like, oh my God, ow, and you shit your pants. And then the more and more it happens, you're just like, well, that was close. I don't think I've ever hit the ground, to be honest. Because if I see him going overhead, I'm like, oh, I wonder where that's going. It fucks us up, I guess.
Massive barrage of rockets coming in here. Not too far from us, so we have had to take shelter here.
Only to seconds later show people casually walking around in the background. To which she was being confronted over her reporting.
But where's your humanity? Where? Where is your humanity? You liar! You liar!
And wasn't the only CNN journalist to be ran off the street.
You are not welcome here!
Yo, even they know CNN's bullshit.
CNN treats world events like the tabloids cover celebrity gossip.
Bro,
what they report doesn't necessarily.
The fucking Palestinians were calling out CNN. Let that sink in. It's not just America that's tired of their shit.
Necessarily have to be rooted in truth, as long as they make it look somewhat believable to the lowest information viewer, as they treat their viewers like goldfish.
The people who said that he was a Hitler lover weren't Democrats, they were Republicans. People who said that he was a fascist weren't Democrats, they were Republicans who worked for him.
Fear-mongering or fabricated narratives they made.
Why is Donald Trump telling women he will do things whether they like it or not?
John, that is grossly inaccurate what you just played. Play the full clip. Play it in its context.
And that wasn't the only occurrence.
Especially if we're the kind of country that's going to be using the military against our own citizens. This kind of thing concerns me.
What do you mean use against our own citizens?
I'm talking about
You
sending...
said blue states behave. What do you mean? What are you talking about?
I'm talking about sending the military into blue states to make them behave. Getting Gavin Newsom under control, getting J.P. Pritzker under control.
What are you
making
talking
sure...
about? What do you mean?
about
Sitting
things
into the
that
state
Donald Trump has
capitol
actually
to commandeer the state government?
I mean, I hope not, but he's definitely talked about that.
And they don't just make up hypotheticals, they're actually antithetical to getting the truth. As remember when Trump almost got taken out, CNN reported it as Secret Service rushing Trump off the stage, as Trump just fell to the ground amid loud bangs. And if it wasn't for free social media like X and videos like mine on YouTube, if you only watch CNN, you would just think Trump fell to the ground when he heard a loud bang, which just goes to show that CNN isn't so much reporting the news as they're reporting a corporate pre-approved narrative. This wasn't even the first time it was this obvious, as back in 2021, they showed Joe Rogan getting COVID, looking sickly and green, when the video Rogan originally posted had him looking much healthier and normal. And again,
that's the thing
this
that
was something
I wanted to bring up about that school shooter in Wisconsin. They did the same thing with one of her photos. The photo that you see where she looks all like disheveled and crazy like, but that wasn't the real picture.
something I covered on this channel as it was happening. And I was just starting my YouTube channel at the time, which was not only a red pill moment for my listeners, but for myself too. As at the time, I remember seeing this clip from a very popular YouTuber I would watch, mocking people who do their own research.
I did my own research. I'm gonna stop you right there. What do you mean by you did your own research? Did you look at credible sites like New York Times and NPR, or are we talking opinion editorial pieces from media? Okay, dude, you don't have to be like.
Until you realize that NPR is basically government propaganda. How are they funded?
I think where I would have been had I not been doing this channel and conducting my own spooky research. As a normie, I likely would have accepted the train of thought of only listening to trusted sources like the New York Times or NPR, only for them to end up the same as CNN and be wrong about social distancing. Turns out the experts just made it up. Wrong about the shots, as there was no data saying it would stop the spread, and basically wrong about everything that was making their corporate sponsors billions of dollars during the lockdown.
Well, what is up with these Asian content creators, reviewers, reactors? We all seem pretty upset, but at the same time we can just change our attitude. in tones.
So I don't think any lesser of anybody that originally bought into what the mainstream narrative was, as I see believing CNN or NPR like people that still use Internet Explorer or Internet Edge or whatever they're calling it now, as the only people that are still using it are the people who got it by default but never took the time to see if there was something better out there. And just because I'm terminally online doesn't mean I fault those who have a life outside of the internet, as that does sound nice. But after years of constant lies, misrepresentations, and now freeing war criminals for content, people are finally turning off CNN, as CNN and their sister in misinformation, MSNBC, are tanking, with CNN's viewership sliding in half to under 400,000 after the election, while Fox News barely lost anybody, still sitting at over 2.6 million viewers, as Fox blasts CNN for getting beaten by the Food Network in primetime viewership. The numbers don't lie, and apparently Americans would rather watch cooking competitions than whatever fake news CNN can fabricate.
I think it's less than 5 now.
Getting more views than CNN.
Because you look at NBC Universal, then you got Disney, and then who else is really left? Because Disney has ESPN and all that, and CNN.
But after 3 years of being on YouTube, sure, I'm not perfect and I've gotten things wrong, but I've never maliciously misled my listeners.
It's not uncommon for these news reporters to make shit up. Who was the one that was actually the biggest one? Dan Rather, who said he was in combat in Iraq and really wasn't. Because he quit, really, he did that and he lied twice and then quit journalism. I don't remember. But why lie? You got people that were lying during the hurricanes making it look like it was more severe. Not the most recent ones. I'm talking about like a dude standing in a puddle, waist high, and the cameraman standing 5 feet away, ankle high. That doesn't make sense. All part of the Operation Mockingbird. You see what I tell you to see. And if you don't see what I tell you to see, something's wrong with you. Right. The Rockefellers and Rothschilds, I think they're more the banks and the healthcare systems, believe it or not. Look at a lot of the major medical universities in this country and see where they're at and who funds them. All right, now back to 1,500 pardons in a 24-hour span. They did, I'm not really sure where I got this, so I'm just going to say I got it off Twitter. Can't remember the source. But they showed pardons by president. The past 10 presidents still don't come close to adding up to Biden's 8,500 pardons in his 4 years. That's a lot. Donald Trump did like 237-ish. It's in the hundreds, not thousands. But okay. I get it. He's going down as literally the worst president since Lyndon B. Johnson.
Breaking news this morning, President Biden putting his pardon power to use, just announcing he is commuting the sentences for over 1,500 people, including pardons for 39 people convicted of nonviolent crimes. To put it in context, this move is seen as the largest single-day act of clemency in modern history. This big unveil, of course, comes on the heels of Biden's full and unconditional pardon of his son Hunter that got so much attention. This is likely to as well. CNN's Arlette Saenz has much more for us from the White House this morning. Tell us more, Arlette.
Well, Kate, President Biden is using one of the remaining tools available to him in his final days in office to grant clemency to a wide swath of individuals. The president saying that this boils down to trying to give people a second chance. Now, in all, the president is commuting the sentences.
Get convicted of child pornography once you get a second chance.
The single largest act of clemency in a single day. To put that in perspective,
don't forget the judge.
was set by President Barack Obama when he commuted the sentences for 330 individuals in the final days that he was in office. Now, the White House says that these individuals who will be impacted were placed on home confinement during the COVID-19 pandemic. And the White House says that they have shown a commitment to rehabilitation and reintegration into their communities. On top of that act of clemency, the president is also pardoning 39 individuals who had non-criminal charges that they had faced, or not violent crimes that they had faced, and that includes.
That's where that fucking gook fell, or the chink fell under. One of those 39, because they listed them as non-violent crimes.
Drug offenses. Now, the president in his statement had said, quote, "America was built on the promise of possibility and second chances. As president, I have the great privilege of extending mercy to people who have demonstrated remorse and rehabilitation, restoring opportunity for Americans to participate in daily life and contribute to their communities." Now, it comes as President Biden has faced significant pressure to grant more clemency in his closing days in office. There are some who are pushing for him to take several dozen inmates off of federal death row. But this pressure for more acts of clemency really has heightened since President Biden had issued that full and unconditional pardon of his son, Hunter Biden, which really drew fierce backlash from Republicans and Democrats in the president's own party after the president for months had said that he would not do so. Now, an administration official said that the president's pardoning of his son doesn't really impact his view overall on the clemency power. They say that he's been committed to that as president. He believes it's a way to make the country a bit more just, also in some ways to try to deal with some of the wrongdoings of the criminal justice system in the past. And this is
some of them, a good majority of them, were people that got in trouble for, bad business dealings, money laundering, all those kinds of crimes. Yeah, a lot of them were them too. A lot of them were also marijuana offenders, but there's a lot. And a lot of them were pretty much in trouble for something that had to do with money.
Likely to be President Biden's final act of clemency. He did say that he is planning to take more steps in the final weeks that he is in office.
America was built on the promise of possibility and second chances. That's Joe Biden's message today as he commutes sentences for nearly 1,500 people.
Can we just punch you in the face?
39 others convicted of nonviolent crimes. My panel is back. Priscilla, you cover the Biden White House. What more can you tell us?
Well, the president had been under increasing pressure to exercise his clemency power.
Look, I wish Scott Jennings was here.
What he did today. In fact, this is the biggest single-day act of clemency in modern history. So this is a large number of people. You mentioned there 1,500 individuals who he commuted their sentences. What we know about them is that they were in home confinement during the pandemic. And in those 39 individuals who were pardoned, they have shown.
So you're telling me the child pornography guy was not in jail? Am I hearing that right? Because they were ones that are on home confinement because of COVID? Interesting.
Shown, according to the president, a commitment to rehabilitating and to also for giving back to their community. So that is how they have described these. We are getting some names and some details as to who they are. That includes a military veteran, a nurse, an addiction counselor. And he also previewed that there will be more actions to come. But of course, this comes on the heels of his own pardon for his son, Hunter.
Wait, what did military veteran have to do with any of the pardons?
Pardon that, of course, sparked uproar. We've also been reporting about some preemptive pardons that may be in the works, given concerns among some officials
I bet she has
about
no gag reflex.
Being prosecuted or gone after when Donald Trump takes office. So it's all happening within that context, but certainly there are a lot of groups who have been calling for the president to do more on this, and they did get a big act on that front today.
One of the interesting things is that Joe Biden was one of the supporters of a very controversial 1994 crime bill that is seen as having fueled mass incarceration. He himself has conceded that he felt, some regret about that.
He was proud of it.
So a lot of this historic number of pardons definitely kind of comes from a lot of that regret that he has expressed over his presidency.
But can we talk about the Hunter Biden thing? Because, of course, the news this week was that Anita Dunn had a former top staffer of his, very loyal, came out and said, well, she didn't oppose the pardon itself. She opposed the way it was, in which it was done.
Can we listen to part of what she said?
As we were in the midst of the president-elect rolling out his nominees, and in particular, in the middle of a Kash Patel weekend, kind of throwing this into the middle of it was exceptionally poor timing, and that the argument is one that I think many observers are concerned about a president who ran to restore the rule of law, who has upheld the rule of law, who has really defended the rule of law, kind of saying, well, maybe not right now.
Let me just also give context that I know you're all aware of, but for our viewers to know. Anita Dunn and her husband, mostly Anita Dunn, has sparred with Hunter Biden and his attorneys over a lot of things, but particularly communication around all of the troubles that Hunter Biden and the attacks that he has been the subject.
Well, and she made it clear when she was speaking that this wasn't done from inside the White House, folks. This was done by the family and the personal lawyers, not the official White House counsel, et cetera. So she clearly distanced the White House from all of that. And, she made the point, which I think is well taken, which is who was thinking about the timing of all of this? When you sit inside that White House, you have to think about when you do certain things. And as she pointed out, it was in the middle of this rocky rollout of...
Bro, where the fuck is my mouse? What the fuck, dude? He's a smart one, isn't he? He is a smart one. Nothing to see here, guys. Nothing to see here. He's being nice. We firmly believe that he'll be doing good things if we let him out back in society. Nah. He's good.
Cabinet appointees, and she was sort of saying, well, why step on that? Why step on that when Trump is getting some bad press? Leave it alone.
Yeah, although perhaps Kash Patel, the fact that he was picked, accelerated the announcement because...
Could have been.
We don't know for sure, but we're going to do more reporting on that.
Fox News alert right now. President Biden granting the largest single-day act of clemency in modern history. Brooke Singman joins us with this breaking news. Brooke.
Good morning, Brian. That's right. So the White House announcing this news overnight. President Biden commuting the sentence of roughly 1,500 people who were released from prison and placed on house arrest during the pandemic. He's also pardoning at least 39 more people, all of whom have been convicted of non-violent crimes. Now, the previous single-day record for clemency was held by Biden's old boss, former President Barack Obama. But today's action is 5 times larger than that. We had heard reports last week that the Biden administration was considering issuing preemptive pardons for a handful of people like Liz Cheney, Anthony Fauci, and Adam Schiff out of...
They've got nothing to worry about. Why do they have to worry about preemptive pardons? Why not pardon them? If they did nothing wrong, as investigations will come out, correct? If they did nothing wrong, you would need to pardon them if all the evidence is correct. Why would you need a pardon?
Of fear that the incoming Trump administration could target them. But it appears none of those 3 names are part of this list. Now, this also follows the president's controversial decision to pardon his son, Hunter, who faced sentencing this month for felony tax and gun convictions. White House lawyers say those pardoned this morning had all been convicted of nonviolent crimes, such as drug offenses, and say they have since turned their
child
lives
pornography
around. Lawrence.
We'll be looking out for the rest of the list. Thanks, Brooke.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe.
Nobody mentions, some of the terrible people that this motherfucker granted clemency to. Like Shanlin Jin, which good luck finding anything on him on YouTube. Just saying. Look his name up. Shanlin Jin. Don't ask me how to spell it. It's Chinese. Now go type it into X. You'll probably find pictures. They don't want you to know. They don't. And they want you to forget about all the bad people that did terrible things to children.
President Biden under scrutiny after commuting a former Pennsylvania judge who was convicted of funneling juveniles for millions of dollars in kickbacks. Her son, our next guest, was caught up in the so-called Kids for Cash scheme and joins us right now. Sandy Fonzo is with us from Pennsylvania. Sandy, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Sandy, tell us a little bit about when you saw that this judge who was convicted for essentially sending kids to jail longer so that the prison, the private facilities could make more money. When you heard that Joe Biden pardoned this guy, commuted this guy's sentence, what did you think?
I was actually working, so I was driving, and my phone started blowing up. Everybody messaging me and calling me. I had no service for most of that day, so it kind of just hit me. I was filled with every kind of emotion, hurt, defeat. Now that I've had more time to process it, it's more of anger.
Yeah.
And just, it's just this is very deeply upsetting and personal.
It is personal because your son, this guy sentenced your son to this private prison system. And the Washington Post has got an item today, and they describe what was going on. They write, to maximize the payout, they often gave kids the harshest possible sentence. Young people who were first-time offenders and probably should have received a warning or community service would end up locked up. Some were younger than 13. What the judges did caused tremendous harm to thousands of young people and their families. One young man died by suicide. Many youth became depressed and dropped out of school. The one young man is your son, Eddie. Eddie, explain what happened.
Eddie was, he was a good kid. He was, a wrestler in high school. He had his whole life ahead of him. He did nothing more than any other kids at that age do. He was at an underage drinking party, and
why do you keep showing
got
pictures of him
caught,
not
and
as
he
a
went in front of
teenager?
this judge. He was placed in our local juvenile detention center, and he was there for approximately 1 month. And in that time, I was speaking with all of them, and it was to teach them a lesson, to get them back on track. And so when he came back in front of the judge, I had letters from teachers, from his wrestling coaches, of my son's character. He wanted nothing more to just get back home and back to his life, and that didn't happen. He was sent to this facility, and God knows what happened in that facility, because when my son did come out, it was 8 months at that time, I believe. He was not the same person. He was pent up with anger and bitter for all the wrong. He would not accept any kind of counseling. He didn't want to look you in the eye. I don't know, and I can't imagine, and I try to not think about what happened to him in that facility, but he never recovered from it. We were fighting this, and these judges just had control. They had all the power, and nobody could say anything. Nobody could step up. I mean, there was a judge, Ann Lakuta, in our courthouse, and when she tried to step up, she was ousted. She was thrown out. Everybody was afraid. These judges just had power, and when they shut down that our community detention center, against, all the recommendations of our city board members, they built their own for-profit juvenile detention center. And this Conahan was president judge. And when that happened, he appointed Chivarella as the juvenile judge. And these kids were just funneled in and to keep these beds filled. And this went on for years. And until, the money was seen, that's when the feds finally stepped in and all this, came out.
Sandy, it sounds like your son should have gotten a warning or community service, but instead wound up going through the system and wound up committing suicide. You blame the judges for your child's death.
He ruined my son's life, my life. He ruined multiple lives. There's so many kids that have lost their life, not just my son. One of the boys that was 8, Charlie, that's actually in the documentary with us and went around and spoke out about this. He has lost his life since. There's so many kids that are still struggling. I've helped kids get out that got wrapped up in the system that were in.
It's inexplicable. Sandy, what is your message to Joe Biden, who commuted your judge's sentence?
Joe Biden came here and campaigned multiple times that he was, Joe Scranton, he was one of us. He knew of our struggles and he cared about our community and our kids and our families. And that is just absolutely not true. He is not one of us. We have an expressway named after him. I have to drive down and look at it every day, the President Biden Expressway and the Biden Street.
Yeah.
That's what I want done. I mean, there needs to be reform of how the overseeing of how these applicants are chosen for these pardons. And what I want to see is his name removed, because that's just, another slap in the face, another injustice on top of all of the grief that everybody in this community has already endured.
Those signs are a constant reminder of a constant pain that you live with as Eddie's mother. Sandy, I know this was hard for you to tell your story, but we appreciate you.
Nothing like pardoning all your buddies for, I don't get it.
Breaking news coming out of Louisiana.
Why? It's like, I kind of want to go through that whole list, but there's way too fucking names, but a lot of them are just their name. I wonder how many of them were for child sex crimes or anything to do with juveniles, minors, underage. What else can I say? Not legal. Oh, I don't know. And it sounds like, this for-profit prison was pretty much, I don't know. Anything, they could traffic in there, yeah. And they're scared, in fear, obviously. They don't want to look you in the eye. That means something's bad happened to them. But anyway, let's get to a different story, and this is local.
Luzerne County today, President Biden commuted the sentence of disgraced Luzerne County Kids for Cash Judge Michael Conahan.
Conahan and fellow Judge Mark Chivarella were convicted in connection with that scheme that sent thousands of juveniles to 2 private detention centers in exchange for millions in kickbacks. 2822 News I-Team reporter Andy Mahalchik has been covering the Kids for Cash scandal since day one. Andy's live in studio. What did we learn today, Andy?
Well, good evening, Nick and Ken. As I spoke with a victim of the Kids for Cash scheme, she is very angry and says this clemency for Conahan is simply wrong and an injustice.
Judge Conahan, did you want to say anything about the guilty plea today to the taxpayers in Luzerne County?
I don't have a comment right now, Andy.
It's a big smack in the face for us once again.
The words of Kids for Cash victim Amanda Laura after hearing that President Biden commuted the sentence of disgraced Luzerne County Judge Michael Conahan.
We had no time to get any time taken away from us. We had nobody to write to talk to. But now we're talking about the President of the United States to do this. What about all of us?
Laura was one of thousands of juveniles who were wrongly imprisoned as part of the Kids for Cash scheme that involved Conahan and fellow Judge Mark Chivarella. They received $2 million in kickbacks in exchange for sending juveniles to 2 private detention centers in which they had a business interest. The scandal gained national attention. He and former Judge Michael Conahan entered a plea agreement to basically one corruption charge. Ciavarella was convicted in 2011 on 12 of 39 counts and sentenced to 28 years in prison. In 2010, Conahan pled guilty to 1 count of racketeering conspiracy and was sentenced to 17.5 years in prison. He was released to home confinement in 2020 because of COVID-19 health concerns. Now, Amanda Laura was sent to detention for 5 years for simply being involved in a fight at a high school volleyball game.
So he wants to talk about with Conahan and everybody else, but what is Joe Biden doing for all of these kids that absolutely got nothing and almost no justice from this whole thing that happened? So it's nothing for us, but it seems that Conahan's just getting a slap on the wrist every which way he possibly could, still today.
The White House released a statement on the commutation for nonviolent offenders, which read in part, these commutation recipients who were placed on home confinement during the COVID pandemic have successfully reintegrated into their families and communities and have shown that they deserve a second chance. But Laura says she and other juveniles were never given a second chance.
There's never going to be any closure for us, Andy. There's never going to be, somehow, some way, these 2 men are always going to pop up. But now when you think about a president of the United States, letting him get away with this, who even wants to live in this country at this point? I'm totally sickened. I just can't even believe this.
Now, this means the 2 years or so that remains on Conahan's home confinement now goes away. Our attempt to contact Conahan for comment have
being on
so
home
far been
confinement
unsuccessful. Nikki DeCamps, back to you.
Andy, thank you.
President Biden's pardons and
Home confinement's fucking dumb. You're not going to learn any goddamn lesson. I don't know. Maybe this right now Joe Biden really is dead. Not dead. But he's signing everything that comes across his desk for everybody's political safety. Letting all his buddies go free, along with a bunch of people like, oh yeah, he did a great job. Let's forget about the Chomo. Let's forget about the guy that was sending kids to prison, destroying them for underage drinking or getting a fight at a volleyball game. I'm glad I never got sent to detention camp for fights in school. Detention camps. Detention centers. We had one down the street in Anniston. But we're going to go listen from one shitty country leader to another shitty country leader who needs to be replaced, and he might be on his way out as early as today.
Justin Trudeau looks set to resign after 2 of his ministers resigned within minutes of each other. Here is the opposition leader, Pierre Poilievre, explaining, whilst on the floor of Parliament, the chaos that ensued and has led to him possibly
Guy's about to talk
stepping
is like
down
the
any minute now.
Canadian Trump.
The finance minister resigned the day she was to present the fall budget, which was going to contain a massive deficit overrun. The job then went automatically to the industry minister, who immediately resigned, like on the spot, which then went down the line, and the next person in order was the famous 2 Randys. Why won't the Prime Minister have the courage to come in here, present it himself, and put it for a confidence vote tonight?
Hear, hear.
Now, this is very exciting because if Trudeau does indeed go down, it's going to lead to elections where Conservatives are highly likely to romp it in. And it's very interesting, Gabby, because this came about with his finance minister because she and he had a disagreement about Trump saying, I'm going to slap 25% tariffs on all goods coming from Canada unless you guys get your border under control and stop trafficking drugs and people. Thank you very much. So she had a falling falling out with him so we can actually thank Trump for what looks like deposing a useless leader in his neighbouring country.
Yeah, and we've heard from Trump as well. He's come out, of course, trolling in true Trump style, calling Justin Trudeau Governor Justin Trudeau. But it's because Justin Trudeau just a couple of weeks ago was calling himself a feminist and saying how sad it was that America rejected electing a female president not once but twice. And then here he is having a thought with his female finance minister. But, you know, I think this is the Trump effect in action happening that we're seeing over in Canada as well, because Justin Trudeau has just been known as being a woke leader. With his, if you look at his track record, it's for the he's got a carbon tax, he's decriminalised weed. What else? He's got the immigration crisis.
World, the winds have shifted to now where they're making you fear. Fear. What's going on?
Make pedophiles afraid again.
What's going on? But means nothing. Don't know where the fuck I was leading with that because I was looking for the next video. Because I'm skipping a bunch. This one. You'd think if you wore a hat that said make pedophiles afraid again, you would think, right, that you're against pedophiles. I mean, 1 + 1 = 2, or 2 + 2 = 4. But let's pretend for today, 2 + 2 = 5.
Accused of committing an unthinkable and heinous crime.
So Riley, is there truth to what you're saying?
The following footage has never been seen before. Please note that this report is based on police records, and all persons charged with a crime are presumed innocent unless and until proven guilty in a court of law. 39-year-old Riley Carter began his campaign for city council in early 2023, promising an aggressive approach to cleaning up the city of Aberdeen. In January of 2024, he began serving as an elected official. However, on July 30th, 2024, a jaw-dropping accusation by his stepdaughter sends police on a search to arrest him, sending shockwaves through the community.
Walk in, just so you're aware of everything we have is audio video recorded. We got these fancy body cameras now.
After police locate him walking alone down a residential street, he's led in handcuffs into a small interrogation room by a detective who's determined to find out if there's any truth to the horrifying claims. Shockingly, it was his own wife, Maya, who initially confronted him about the disturbing truth his stepdaughter revealed.
I started freaking out on him, like, how could you? What the fuck is wrong with you? Kind of a thing. And he was just really calm and said, no, I didn't do this. And I hung up, and then he just took off. I guess he just left.
Did he say anything to you about it?
He just said that he didn't do it. He swears up and down he didn't do it.
Due to his status as a city councilman, the Aberdeen Police Department requested the investigation to be handled by the Grays Harbor Sheriff's Office in an effort to avoid a conflict of interest.
Smart.
After reading his Miranda rights, the interrogation begins, but Riley has yet to realize the source of the allegations. Riley explains he had a typical morning, but everything changed when Maya arrived home.
And then I heard the front door open and shut. And so I come out and I have she's and she has by the hand, and then she's walking out the door, and I asked, well, what's going on?
When Maya left with no response, he called her cell phone for an explanation. She accused him of committing an unthinkable act and hung up the phone. However, as Maya explains, their conversation continued over Facebook Messenger. When she realized she had no tangible evidence of his crimes, she decided to take a risk.
And I bluffed and said, I have you on camera, just seeing if that would incite anything out of him. And he just stopped responding to me at that point.
As Riley explains, Maya's anger over the situation was visceral, and he was left with a chilling command.
I go down to the basement, and she told me, so I did set up a rope. I thought about it.
Oh.
I really did. Because I'm done, man. I'm done. I am just done.
Good. So you know you did
I'm maxed out. I am maxed out. Everything that we have gone through in life. Everything. And now this? And it doesn't matter because being on city council, everybody knows now.
No shit, Sam.
Now. And we were right there, man. Everybody was amped up. we were going to change some things in Aberdeen, and now that's gone. It's gone. It's all gone.
June 24th, just 1 month prior, Riley posted a video to his Facebook page in an attempt to shed a light on criminal activity in his neighborhood. These videos will have an eerie relevance later when the exact allegations are revealed.
Buddy, how are you? We're out driving around, got the babies to sleep. It's just one of those days, I guess. Anyways, I thought it'd be a good idea, maybe take you guys along with me, and we'll go drive around downtown. And we'll just go look at things, and maybe I can talk about things, that I'd like to see different, or things to be improved on, or whatever it may be. But just gonna keep it fun, keep it relaxed, and be myself. All right, here we go.
All right.
So one thing I want to note on is how close sex offenders live to schools around here, how close they are to bus stops, how easy it is for them to just have instant access to anyone or anybody's kids here.
Right.
In each of these neighborhoods. Sorry, I had to hit my brakes there because looked like a tweaker came shooting out of the alley and almost got in front of my car. Which is something, that really needs to be addressed.
Appreciate it, Sam.
All right, so I know one place a lot of people want to see is the camp underneath the bridge. I will state, however, I have my baby girls with me, so I'm not going to take them down there just because people know who I am around here.
What are you talking about,
The last thing I
Deputy?
would want is a rock to fly through my window and hit one of my daughters, because the way this state works, I could see me going to prison because somebody hit my daughter with a rock and I beat that person to death. I mean, that's just, come on. Wouldn't you do that for your own kids?
Despite his apparent determination to do whatever it takes to protect his children, as it turns out, Riley's shocking secret was revealed by his own 11-year-old stepdaughter, whose name has been redacted from the interview to protect her identity.
So statements weren't made to initially. She told her counselor today that they were talking about something different and broke down crying.
Oh, shit.
And said she didn't want to talk about it.
In a recorded interview with his stepdaughter's therapist, she explains what happened earlier this morning, when it quickly became clear that something was horribly wrong.
So we had an appointment at 2 o'clock, and she'd been displaying some behaviors and had reported 2 weeks prior that was mean to her. So we were going to talk more about it today. She said she didn't want to talk about it. She didn't want to say it out loud.
In an effort to help the child, she suggested writing it down. However, the disturbing words she wrote on the page left the counselor in shock.
When she wrote that down, can you tell me about what her emotions look like and how she was acting?
So before she wrote it down, when she said she didn't want to say it out loud, she started just staring down at the ground. She was like stone cold. You could tell she was checking out, and she was kind of fidgeting her hands. And I've been her therapist for probably a little bit over 2 years, and she's never acted like that.
So that was out of the norm?
That is completely out of the norm. Her facial expression looked as if she was scared, like fear. And then she wrote it down, and then she kind of had this look of, oh no, or I'm in trouble, or something.
The haunting words written by the child will later be revealed. For now, in an attempt to understand her claims, investigators begin to dig into their familial relationship.
So can you talk about what your relationship is with and how long you've been in her life?
And since she was 4, I think she's a great kid. She's, I don't know how to explain it. Always just outgoing, but kind of keeps to herself. Good kid.
Mm-hmm. And so was that a hard role to step into with her being that young, or?
Yes and no. I always kept in the back of my head that there's going to be a time when she gets to know her real dad. And so that's a line that needs to be respected. Mm-hmm. And that's not me to try to take that place. Just stay available, That's about the best I could do.
Okay. How close would you guys be as far as being her? You guys
I always thought
distant, or?
we were close, not like super close, just like, I'd say she felt comfortable to always like throw fits in front of me. Ask for like things for a birthday or Christmas, or complain, or, tell me about her favorite color or food or something.
Mm-hmm. What kind of activities would you guys do together?
Wait, this is the guy?
I would say much aside from watching TV. Yeah, that's about it. In the living room, yeah.
Okay. And then, do you guys have 2 other kids between you?
I think I did another one where the guy was unplugging the cameras to the daughter's room, but I think it was a black lady.
Yes, we had 2, and then our son that passed away.
Okay.
So we have.
And they were checking timestamps.
5.
The camera went offline.
She's 2.
Okay. And do you feel like you have a similar relationship with all 3 kids, or do you feel like you're closer with your 2 biological kids?
It's a different kind of relationship, I'd say, with my stepkids.
Riley's videos reveal a pattern in which he often describes a willingness to do anything to protect his children from local crime. However, the harrowing words of his stepdaughter may suggest that the dangers were much closer to home than anyone realized.
Oh, God, I'm just a rotten sack of shit. The 2 daughters, you never know love until you have a kid. You know what? That's the one thing that keeps you going. You never know pain until you hold your own dead kid. That really messes you up, too.
Yet it was the bone-chilling note written by the 11-year-old girl that truly left her therapist in shock and her mother, Maya, enraged.
So she wrote it down, and what she wrote was, "He touches me and makes me uncomfortable."
In April 2024, just 4 months prior to his arrest, Riley began a crowdfunding campaign to launch a nonprofit aimed at catching online predators and deterring them from engaging in harmful acts against children.
Hey, what up, everybody? A little bit of story time. So I live in an incredibly liberal state, Washington, yeah. And every time I wear this hat out in public, people always give me those looks of, ooh, it's a MAGA hat. Ooh, it's so bad. He hates everyone. But then they read it, and usually they have a pretty good laugh, in support of it. Then again, you still do get those people that are offended by it, but, imagine that in a blue state. Ooh, they have rights too. No, they don't. The victim does, but they shouldn't have any. So, pretty cool hat, make pedophiles afraid again. I love it. So, yeah, people always mistake it for a MAGA hat, and it's just great.
His videos seem to express that he would go to any lengths to ensure their safety, becoming a vocal advocate for devoted fathers.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Want to make a quick message for you on this Father's Day, right? So here's the deal. A lot of women out there are doing the whole, I'm over man, I'm my man, so them dudes, they don't need no appreciation with this us, Stop it. Just stop it. Here's why, okay? You think that it's an empowering moment, but the problem is you're trying to take something away from a lot of really, really good dudes out there that are actually really good to their kids, right? And there are actually a lot of really hardworking, awesome single moms out there, right? That they pull both roles, and they do deserve that recognition. So if you're not feeling validated, don't take it out on everyone else. Thank you. This message was brought to you by an American that gives. Have a wonderful day.
Given Riley's outspoken stance against preying on children, the question remains, do these horrifying allegations hold any truth? Fully aware of the chilling details, having spoken to the girl himself, the detective continues his efforts to extract answers from Riley.
I sat in an interview with just a little while ago and watched her basically relive it again when she was having to describe what was happening. I don't know how an 11-year-old girl was strong as is. But she was very descriptive of what was happening. And like I said, we're not here to cast judgment. We're not here to label people. And I understand there's things that happen in our lives that cause us to make mistakes. But it's an 11-year-old girl talking about things that were done to her that shouldn't have been done. she was talking about being told to keep it a secret and not tell anybody. And she was talking today about how she couldn't keep it inside no more and she had to tell somebody. So Riley, is there truth to what you're saying?
Many of Riley's videos even expose the potential dangers lurking on their residential street, captured on their home surveillance system. However, it's a different set of security cameras that may hold the key to unearthing the truth of the unsettling allegations against Riley.
Riley, can you tell me more about the cameras? Okay. I was trying to understand what the camera situation was. I kept hearing about cameras. So what are they for?
Oh, in every room.
Or somewhere else.
The kids' rooms. And then she's got them throughout the house. And we put them on the outside of the house for security reasons. And the main reason for it is just one of the stepkids is autistic. And he'll have like meltdowns or whatever maybe. And then that way she can keep an eye on him.
Mm-hmm. So. And when they're in the house, like, are they inside the bedrooms or like in the hallways, or like, how are they set up in there?
So
I'm a fucking idiot. I watched this before, a couple days ago before I added it. I think this is the one from like 3 days ago, right? 2 days ago, yeah. And now I'm like, oh, I remember all this, blah, blah, blah. This is why I remember it.
In each kid's room, they have a camera like inside the room. And then in the hallway, or like the big entryway, there's one on this wall here.
Okay. Do you have access to view those cameras, or is that just?
According to Maya, however, an alarming discrepancy was uncovered when she reviewed the footage.
My daughter told me that he was unplugging all of our cameras that led to her room. I went and I checked the cameras on my phone. In the time frames that she told me he's been unplugging the cameras, there are no footage. And I've noticed that they've been unplugged or whatever. I thought it was her. The plug to that camera is at the very top, like almost touching the ceiling. So it's not something that she can reach unless she pushes her chair up there, which would be caught on camera if she did that. It looked like this is 7:30 is when the earliest recording is this morning.
That's unusual.
Mm-hmm. And then I went back and checked all the cameras that are upstairs that face her door, and every single one of them is most days is after 7:30 a.m. is when they all start recording.
Then every other camera's on around the house?
Yes.
Sorry, they're not off. Only the ones leading to her room and in her room were off?
Correct.
With only the child's claims, the detectives must work to get a confession from Riley himself. The officer urges him to admit to the horrifying act, telling him their only goal is to get to the bottom of the truth. However, Riley hesitates as he grapples with what to do next.
Yes. Yes, be a goddamn man, Riley. Be a man for once in your miserable existence. No turning back. We're already at this point. We are here. I don't want to say it like that. There are things that I did do.
As the interrogation continues, the investigator urges Riley to confess. However, getting a straight answer from him will be no easy task.
When you woke up today, this was the last place you'd expect to be. But it's what we do moving forward from here is what's going to affect a lot of lives. And there, like I said, there's ways to get through this. There's programs that can be offered through the court. There's things that can be offered that help you deal with the demons and all the things that you've been dealing with, the stress. There's ways to get through what happened and to help everybody move on from it. But it starts right here by being truthful, and it starts right now. It's saying that you f***ed up, because I believe what you said.
It's really hard to accept things for what they are. There are certain things in life you don't recover from. I want to tell you guys, I do. I'm trying.
That makes no sense.
I got all night, Riley.
And you guys got families. That's important. God, this just sucks. So close.
Huh?
So close to accomplishing good things. Doing something great. So close to getting the drugs out of Aberdeen. So close to getting all the craziness out of the streets. So many people.
So close. Except for, obviously, he wasn't getting the pedophiles off the streets.
People believe in me. And now it's over. It's gone.
As Riley keeps deflecting the subject, providing little to no hints, it appears as though the detective won't rest until the truth is exposed.
She said the last time it happened was this morning. And she talked about how her camera gets unplugged before you come in the room, and she just pretends to sleep. But she said that it wouldn't matter if she was sleeping or awake. It would happen anyway. And so right now we're collecting, she's up at the hospital, and we're collecting DNA samples. And this is an opportunity where I'm offering you a chance to explain what happened, and if a mistake was made, and it's time to be truthful and take ownership of the mistake and not let it catch up to you down the road being proven by DNA, because we get touch DNA off of things all the time. There's the sweat glands in your fingers contain DNA.
I did go out to her room this morning. I didn't touch her. I did not touch her. I went up there. I don't remember, see if she wanted some nuggets or something. So I made some nuggets for the younger ones.
Before school?
If you didn't touch her this morning, what would cause you to say that happened?
I don't know.
And what would cause her to say that this wasn't the only time that it happened? It's happened lots of times.
I don't know.
The disturbing admission finally unveils the truth, though nothing prepares the detectives for the sick and twisted reasoning he'll later give.
About how many times did this happen?
Five times, maybe. Just real fast. I don't know. Just a weird impulse tick.
Over how long a period of time?
I'd say a year.
During those 5 times, would you unplug the camera when you went into her bedroom?
No. No. It would, she would already have it unplugged. Like she would do it. She would unplug it. I don't know why.
According to the child, however, the cameras were mostly unplugged by Riley himself.
How did it start?
Sorry, I'm just that I have ADHD pretty severe, so I get that in my mind thinking of the house.
I don't think that's how that works.
Bills. And just now me. Now I'm here.
What
now that's all separated.
Kamala Harris.
I have to accept that. I was going to start my new job tomorrow. And then go up with a piece of shit car. Can never get the SUV fixed. Needs a new engine. Now I got to worry about her. How's she going to make it? How's she going to do things?
And we'd also be concerned about sleeping at night and wake up in the morning to Riley coming in her bedroom. Doesn't have to worry about that.
Before confronting Riley with the crucial question of why he would harm his own stepdaughter, he poses a different question. His answer, however, further exposes how little Riley appears to understand the gravity of the situation.
You ever talk to her about
No. Yeah. Actually, I apologized to her once, twice.
The fuck?
When it happened, or just randomly?
When it happened.
Tell me about one of the times that you apologized. What happened?
I don't know how to explain it. I told her. What were my exact words to her? That said something along the lines of, "Kid, I'm so sorry. You know, I don't even know what the hell that was about." And I apologized. And that was about it. She didn't really, think anything of it. But God, what the?
Was she awake that time when you apologized? Because obviously, that how the conversation come up.
It was silent and good vibe in the air. Wasn't nothing weird.
Well, you responded quick as fuck with
I just said, hey, I did that. I'm really sorry. So I don't know. I don't understand what was that about. And then I asked her, "Are you okay?" And she said, "Yeah, I'm fine."
In an exclusive interview obtained only by Iwu, Maya will soon speak out, offering her advice for parents of young children. In the meantime, before facing the inevitable consequences, investigators appear determined to find an answer to a crucial question.
The why is the number one question why everybody wants to know. Everybody wants to know why. We can't prove why by cell phone records or DNA evidence or video footage. That just proves the who and the what and the how. The why comes from these conversations.
And obviously, it's huge mistake. Huge.
It's not a mistake, asshole.
The stress in our home has been unreal. I don't want to just give you a bunch of excuses. I should be my own person. I don't want to always get so mad at me and scream at me to not use certain things as excuses, but that's what's going on. There's so much just on my shoulders at all times, just chewing in my ear constantly. It sucks. It really, really, really sucks. Like I said, it's not even a sexual thing. I don't feel attracted. It's just this weird
what the hell?
impulse. I don't know. I don't know. It's so weird. God, this is just a weird conversation. Developing, in certain areas.
Oh, wow.
What's wrong with me?
With Riley's confession, along with an unsettling answer to the question of why he would have committed such a depraved act, his arrest is imminent. However, the investigator has one final heartbreaking question.
In here, would you have anything to tell her?
Oh, I'm beyond sorry of all the damage this has caused her, her mom, her sisters, her brothers, the community, literally everything and everyone that is let down by this. I'm sorry to recover it. I deserve whatever's coming my direction. I deserve it. And I hope that she can heal and they all find what it is that they need in their life to live the absolute best life that they can.
An apology, however, will do little to prevent the consequences that await him as he's led away in handcuffs and taken to Grays Harbor County Jail. In the meantime, Riley's wife Maya shares red flags she noticed after his arrest and offers advice for parents, hoping to prevent the same terrifying fate from happening to others.
He did not get along with my boys because my boys are on the spectrum and they clashed a lot. They're teenage boys. And so I didn't think anything of that until everything came out. It wasn't a red flag in the moment as it was happening. But then after this all came out, that's what was actually happening. It's oh, crap. Background checks mean nothing. For women that are dating right now, background checks mean nothing because he had nothing. He was squeaky clean, and I had 4 children when I first met him. I didn't really see any red flags at first. Nothing really happened to a severity that I should have been paying attention to it until we bought our house together, and then I was 100% reliant on him. I had quit my job. I helped him get sober so that he can go back and get to work and everything. And no woman should ever put herself out for a man. Just even though you think you love him and you think it won't be him, it probably will be.
After Riley's arrest, Maya explains that the public response to their situation has led her to becoming a target of unexpected scrutiny, with many people questioning why she has cameras in her children's rooms in the first place.
I do have disabled children that require severe supervision, and they've been in home care and like all these sorts of different cares, and I was advised by professionals to have these cameras.
39-year-old Riley Tyrell Carter was officially charged with multiple counts of first-degree rape of a child and first-degree child molestation. While in jail, Riley is swabbed for DNA, which will later be compared to the assault kit performed on the 11-year-old girl. His bail was set at $150,000. On August 2, 2024, a press release from the city of Aberdeen announced his resignation from his city council position. Though the case is still ongoing, Maya was able to inform Iwu that a trial is currently set to begin on March 11, 2025.
Where's he at right now, Sam? Is he still in jail? Or is he out on bail, bond, whatever the fuck you call it these days? Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and, well, ladies and gentlemen, a little bit of this all the way down the spectrum of stuff today. I realize I don't really want to go back over the drone stuff anymore, but, you know, if anything new comes up, I'll let you know. Joe Biden rewards pedophiles and money launderers and all kinds of shit go free. Because why not? Nonviolent crimes. Like the 1994 crime bill, which made a lot of things. God damn it. A crime to put people in jail. And then you hear for the for-profit prisons and jails. Goes on all the time in this country. And as one of my buddies, L, we talked about the prisons, especially the privatized prison systems, are sweatshops. Not the Chinese. I'm just saying. But right now, I'm not telling y'all how to think because that would just be crazy as fuck. Because I'm pretty morbid. I'm just telling y'all to think. And I don't know. Keep your eyes open. Keep your heads on a swivel. Keep your mind open. I'm not telling you how to think. I'm just telling you to think, and I'm going to figure out what I need to do for my next presentation. So, hope you enjoy the rest of your day.